Welcome back, everyone. The iPhone 11 and iPhone XS Max have been out for a few years now, so let's go and see how both these specific devices hold up in 2022. Now, if you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, I can definitely tell you pretty big difference between them, but they're not like a crazy big difference, to be honest. They both are in the 6-inch display area. They're a little bit bigger than that. The iPhone 11 came out in 2019, and it has a 6.1-inch IPS panel on the front, and I will definitely tell you it's not the best looking panel in the world. It's kind of grown on me, and I definitely do think it's gotten a little bit better throughout time. I think when it first came out, it wasn't bad. I think the iPhone XR took most of that damage. So this specific iPhone, I think, essentially has grown on me for the most part. On the iPhone XS Max, on the other hand, we have a massive 6.5-inch OLED display, and it's definitely a much bigger display. It's a heavier phone. It feels like a bigger phone too, so it doesn't feel like a small phone by any means, but it is smaller than the 12 Pro Max and the 13 Pro Max. So if that's something that kind of interests you, well, this is one area where that may be a little bit more interesting to some of you out there. I would definitely say the iPhone XS Max has a better looking panel for sure. In terms of thickness and thickness, I definitely do think the iPhone XS Max and the iPhone 11 are kind of the same thing. I can't really tell that big of a difference here. They kind of give me the same impression as well. And in terms of the back, they pretty much have the same type of back as well. I think they both have glass backs, essentially the same exact thing. No frosted glass back, dual camera setup up here with a little bit of a different type of layout. Lightning ports at the bottom, no headphone jack, wireless charging on both, and IP certification on both as well. Now, funny enough, I forgot to mention, but I think one of the most viewed comparisons I've ever done on my channel was actually between these two devices, which is so interesting that so many people were so interested and are still so interested in these two type of devices. That may be due to the used prices and how they're so similar in the used market, but one thing to keep in mind is that with the iPhone XS Max, although it's a bigger phone and it was a more expensive phone when it first came out, the chances are that the iPhone 11 is probably going to outlast something like the iPhone XS Max. So if you want a longer lasting phone, you are probably going to be getting something like a longer lasting phone from the iPhone 11 than the iPhone XS Max. But for the time being, I would say probably for the next few years, the iPhone XS Max is still going to be supported. I don't think this device is going to be, outdated anytime soon. So I think that's kind of a decent thing to keep in mind. Again, I don't think it's a deal breaker, but it is one of those things to keep in mind. With something like the iPhone 11, on the other hand, this is a device that's probably going to be lasting for quite a bit of time. I think this device is going to last for a long, long time, mostly because Apple's still selling it. This device was a really good iPhone when it first came out. The power with this iPhone is really good. 4 gigabytes of RAM, the same amount of RAM on both these two. So I do think something like that probably gives the edge a little bit more to the iPhone 11. But when it comes down to it, both these devices are going to last for a long period of time still. So one is not really going to, outlandishly outlast the other. So that kind of covers it up there. And now let's go and do a speed comparison between them. The iPhone XS Max had that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 11 has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between these. Okay, there we go. Let's go and clear all the apps, and you can see all the apps are clear on the background. iPhone 11 here, iPhone XS Max here. So let's get into it. Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. I think about the same thing. Let's go and get into their app stores, 3, 2, 1. And I think the iPhone 11 was slightly faster, but they both were still very, very close. Scrolling through here, let's go and click onto this one, Genshin Impact randomly. You can see kind of the same thing, so not really that big of a deal. Let's do clock, 3, 2, 1. About the same thing too. Let's do mail, 3, 2, 1. I think iPhone XS Max a little bit faster. Camera, 3, 2, 1. About the same thing too. Let's go and click here. I think the iPhone 11 was definitely faster there a little bit. Let's go and get into their settings, 3, 2, 1. I think iPhone 11 was slightly faster. Stocks, 3, 2, 1. And I think the iPhone 11 again was the faster one there. And as always, we have a bunch of these third-party applications we can go and load up on both. So let's get into it. Let's do Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. Now this game gives me the most amount of errors, so I'm probably not even going to be able to load into it properly. And it looks like the iPhone XS Max was slightly faster there. A few different panels, but pretty much the same loading time. Thank you, 3, 2, 1. iPhone 11 is faster. iPhone XS Max a little bit slower, but not a really big deal. Netflix, 3, 2, 1. iPhone XS Max I think was the faster one there too. Very, very interesting. Snake versus Blocks, 3, 2, 1. About the same exact thing between them. Quizlet, 3, 2. I don't even have it, which is weird. And Dropbox 321. Okay, and I did find Quizlet 321. Okay, XS Max was faster there, both at 321. iPhone 11 was faster. iPhone XS Max a little bit behind. Temple Run 2, 321. And you can see the iPhone XS Max was faster. The iPhone 11 a little bit behind. I was not expecting the XS Max to be doing this well between them, to be honest. I thought the iPhone 11 was going to be doing better. So it's very strange that the iPhone 11 is doing slower than the iPhone XS Max. Facebook 321. I think I'm logged into an account here, so I am. So we'll hop out of this one. Twitter 321. 11 is a little bit faster there. Let's do Stack 321. And the iPhone, they were both almost identical, to be honest. Not really that big of a difference here. Let's go and get into, that pretty much covers up a majority of the apps I wanted to test. And to be completely honest, I think when it comes down to both these devices, both were very good. I think the XS Max may have been the more faster one between these when it came down to it. I was not expecting the iPhone XS Max to be doing as well as it did. I thought the iPhone 11 was going to be faster almost every single time, but that didn't end up being the case. So when it comes down to it, very, very interesting comparison between them. I think the iPhone XS Max is probably the faster one more times than not, but I guess the iPhone 11 is, still a fast phone too. I thought it was going to be faster. So that covers it up there. Let's go and quickly hit on the cameras. And like I mentioned, dual camera setup on the back between them as well. We have a wide and a telephoto lens on the iPhone XS Max, but we have a wide and an ultra-wide sensor on the iPhone 11. The camera sensors are bigger on the iPhone 11. You're getting 4K at 60 on the back of both of them, but you are getting 4K at 60 on the front of the iPhone 11. The XS Max did not have 4K at 60 on the front, only 1080p at 60. Now, I've always liked the XS Max's camera. That was pretty good, but this was the last iPhone that we had, which only had a telephoto lens as a Pro model. After this model with the 11 Pro Max and so on and so forth, we actually ended up getting ultra-wide and telephoto lenses too, which was really cool. So this camera wasn't bad. I like having 4K at 60 on the front, or at least having the option to do so. So that's kind of an advantage with the iPhone 11, but this isn't that bad of a camera still, and I think it's actually pretty good. It still has portrait mode and different things like that, and 4K at 60 on the back is still really good for sure. Now with the iPhone 11, I think this is still a very, very good camera too, and I would rather have an ultra-wide sensor than a telephoto lens. And I do think with something like the iPhone XS Max, it's still a good camera, but the iPhone 11 is probably the better one here in my opinion. You're getting that ultra-wide sensor, which is so nice. It's not really a telephoto lens, but you still have the ability of zooming in a lot. You still have things like portrait mode, and like I mentioned, you have 4K at 60 on the front as well, which is a really cool touch on this camera. So when it comes down to it, I think the iPhone 11 camera is better, and that kind of covers it up there. And to be completely honest, I would probably still say that the iPhone 11 is probably the better phone when it comes down to it. It's going to have a longer lifespan ahead of it. It's going to give you better battery life potentially. It's going to give you better performance technically and the better cameras. But the iPhone XS Max today really surprised me. I was not expecting this phone to be doing or be performing as well as it did. I thought it was going to be performing probably less than subpar. To be honest, I thought it was going to be kind of choppy, but I think the XS Max really surprised me here. I think the screen and build quality is better on the iPhone XS Max. I think it feels way more like a flagship than the iPhone 11. The performance is still, I guess, better on the iPhone XS Max too, which is weird. And I think it's still a phone that's going to be lasting for quite a bit of time too. So you can't really go wrong with either one of these. But the iPhone 11 is definitely the iPhone I'd recommend between these. But if you have a XS Max, it was way better performing than I thought. So that kind of covers it up there. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video.